Hello, everybody. David here, and today is my DCTV podcast, where I am going to be talking about all the DC shows, which include that I watch, which includes Gotham, Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. This was a return for a lot of those shows, a lot of season premieres. Gotham is the only one that's kind of ahead. It's aired episode 4 this week. So let us begin with Gotham. Get this one out of the way. Gotham, Season 4, Episode 4, The Demon's Head. And we have Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, sorry. When the movies and the shows give two pronunciations, or pronunciations for his name. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It kind of gets confusing. Which is the right version again? Because Batman Begins said Ra's al Ghul, Batman the Animated Series, and Arrow. Actually, Arrow used both terms, but Batman the Animated Series used Ra's al Ghul. Arrow used both. It looks like Gotham will be using Ra's al Ghul as well. So Ra's al Ghul, not Ra's al Ghul for this one. Although I'm expecting a joke will be made with his name being pronounced wrong in some episode, sooner or later. Someone will say Roz, and then it's pronounced Raish. They kind of did that in an episode of Batman Beyond, so I'm expecting it in Gotham. Anyways, back to this. We open up with a really cool opening shot of, it's like not BC, but it's early AD, and we learn that that's where we learn that Ra's al Ghul, how he was living for so long, that he used the Lazarus pit, that he was actually almost dying himself, and someone found him, put him into the pit, and said, "Hey, you gotta look for your heir." And or was that last week's episode? I'm pretty sure it was this week's episode, because I was like, "Whoa, this is pretty cool." That might have been last week's episode. I'm probably already getting it mixed up. But anyways, this week's episode, Ra's is looking for the dagger that Bruce bought from last week. And he doesn't realize how powerful it is, so he brings it to this curator of the museum, this historian, and his grandson. And he leaves the dagger with them to take care and study it. To give him more information about it, knowing that Ra's al Ghul, it's connected to him in some way, and he is on his way to get it. So he kills the grandfather, and the grandson is like hiding, and it leaves Bruce and Gordon on a mission to find this kid and save him before Ra's al Ghul can find him. I really love. This was a really good episode. I was surprised how good. There were times I wasn't sure, because I have an idea of what Ra's al Ghul is, and I feel like Batman Begins and Arrow portrayed him the best. Even though I really like this actor that's playing him on Gotham, there were some mannerisms that were like kind of, to me, like, I don't know if Ra's al Ghul would act like that. But I have to get that out of my head. I have to remind myself, this is Gotham's take on Ra's al Ghul. Let's see what they do with him and play with him. And he is still really conniving and smart. I'm just wondering if they're going to take his moral ethics away, because what I really like about Ra's al Ghul in the cartoons, in the comics, in the live action stuff, is that he looks at himself as a good guy trying to save the world. And that's the thing that was kind of bugging me a little bit in this episode, that he felt too evil, and he knew he was evil, and he has evil ambitions. To me, it just looked like that. So to me, that's kind of not Ra's al Ghul. Again, we don't know what his motives is with the dagger, so maybe I just have to sit down and relax and like give it a chance. And I gave this episode a chance, and I really came out enjoying it. But it's just the Ra's al Ghul aspect that was kind of holding me back on giving this like a 10 out of 10. Like I would have gave this episode an 8 out of 10. Losing points because of the Ra's al Ghul stuff. But I like that we also got to see Gordon and Bruce work together quite a bit. Obviously, not alluding to, but giving us an idea of how Batman and Bruce, or Batman and Gordon will work together one day in the future. Gordon obviously looks at Bruce as this teenager kid that shouldn't be involved in this kind of stuff, but Bruce is getting involved, and he's going to do anything he can to find the knife and this kid. And Gordon seems very wary of him. Like why is Bruce doing this? Like he shouldn't be involved in this stuff, and he's giving him crap for it. But then when he realizes, you know what, if I don't stop him, he's gonna do it on his own anyway. So he kind of gave these strict rules. Look, if you want to be a detective, I'm giving you your chance now, so let's do this. So it kind of gave Bruce ideas on how the police work and how he can incorporate some of that in his motive, some of the questions to ask and stuff like that. Something that I was really surprised about was when Ra's al Ghul killed the grandson at the end of the episode. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought they were going to save the kid, Bruce was going to have the dagger, and that was going to be it. And nope, Ra's kills the kid and allows Gordon to arrest him and bring him to prison. Wow. Okay. So that was interesting. And then we got Nigma finally deciding to go get revenge on the Penguin. And that ain't looking too good for him. Because Penguin showed him that, hey, you are not Edward Nigma. I'm sorry to say this. You are not the man you used to be. Whatever happened while you were frozen messed you up, and you're gonna have to pick yourself up. So Penguin even kind of rubbed it back in his face by even saying, you know what, I'm not even gonna freeze you again because I feel sorry for you because you're not the same guy. And that kind of probably burns Edward Nigma up quite a lot. So all of that was really good. I'm curious on how this is all going to play out with Edward Nigma. Like, if he remembers again, is he going to go back and kill Penguin the proper way? It's like, I hope this doesn't continue to be a back and forth with them. But it is great to see the rise of these villains. You know, we've seen them rise last season, and now we're seeing them take over the city like it should be. But I want it to be equal playing grounds. Like, it would be cool if Gotham started being split up by the villains. Like, some villains take care of certain portions of the city while others take care of another portion, etc., etc. Like, this is the Riddler's territory, or this is Penguin's territory. And then we know some other villains, like Jerome is coming back. Maybe Jerome Jerome would be like, I don't give a shit. I'm taking over this whole town. So you guys can divide your portions, but I'm coming out after you. So yeah, I'm liking the Riddler and Penguin stuff. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, there was the Sophia Falcone. She's in Gotham, and she doesn't want Penguin to know, or at least she doesn't want to make a ruckus about it, because she does have her own agenda while she's here in Gotham. And Penguin doesn't like it. He's suspecting her of causing some trouble. So I'm not sure where that storyline is going. So I don't have much thoughts on that one. But overall, I think this was a really solid episode. I really, really liked it a lot. I think it was this season has been proving that Gotham is definitely comfortable where they are now. I think they're doing the things that they really want to do, and I'm loving it. I think fourth season is strong, and this is coming from a show that wasn't very strong in the beginning, but has grown and understood what it is, and I think it's doing great. Next, we're moving on to Supergirl, Girl of Steel, Season 3, Episode 1. This was a nice little return. You know, Kara is dealing with the loss of Mon-El, so she's focusing her attention on Supergirl, on being Supergirl, and letting go of the Kara Danvers aspect of it all. And Alex is kind of worried about it. Everybody's kind of worried about it. I'm glad we got a talk from Alex talking to Kara about all of it, you know, about the loss of Mon-El and everything that's been going on with her. It kind of reminded me a lot of Smallville. I kind of said this in my review for the episode. But it was fine. When the characters of these shows go emo, I feel like it's a been there, done that situation. I still really liked the episode. I thought it was really good. It definitely had a different style to it, with Kara being a little bit mopier than normal. But for the most part, not much else to comment on that. Alex and Maggie's relationship is continuing to blossom. And what I really liked from that relationship, I think a lot of people kind of figured they would get married. They did propose at the end of the season finale of last season, but the scene that I really liked involving Alex's marriage was her at the end going to John and asking him to walk her down the aisle, because she was kind of having a little bit of cold feet, I guess, because she knew her dad wasn't going to be at the wedding. She didn't want to have this big, elaborate wedding because her dad wasn't going to be there. But then she finally accepts that. And she asks John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, to be the guy to walk her down the aisle, which I thought was really nice. As soon as he said that, they both start crying together. I thought it was a really nice moment between them. That made me happy. Sometimes you gotta love those happy moments, you know? There was some Lena and Kara stuff going on. We meet a new character in terms of Adrian Pastar, who is playing Morgan Edge. Adrian Pastar, I remember from Heroes, the TV series Heroes, that lasted 4 seasons, then came back for one more season in the look of Heroes Reborn. He played Nathan Petrelli in the original series. I always thought he was a really good actor. And then he went on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a couple of seasons of that. So I guess he's not going to be there this year. Instead, he's going to be here on Supergirl. And I really like him as an actor. And him already playing Morgan Edge is already giving me vibes of Lex Luthor and Maxwell Lord from Season 1. The difference with Maxwell Lord, Season 1, I never really... He felt conniving at times, but then obviously he went to a good route. I think Morgan Edge is going to be completely different from Maxwell. I think he's going to be pure scheming, pure evil. I think he's going to have a hidden agenda up his hand. After all, he did buy... I think he said he was going to buy out Catco, which was interesting. Apparently, he had bought the Daily Planet in the comics. He bought the Daily Planet out. So it looks like they're going to borrow a little bit of that storyline. It kind of reminded me of the times Lex Luthor bought the Daily Planet in Smallville. That was something Lex had done. Although Lex didn't really do much with it. He did fire Chloe at one point. So it will be interesting to see what Morgan Edge does. Is he going to fire characters that we love, like maybe Jimmy? Jimmy is there, still running the ship. So that's going to be... I'm curious to see how he's going to factor into the whole season. And then we also have our first look at possibly Rain. Rain is a character that's going to be the new villain this season. and we saw her in from what I think is her, this mother that saved her daughter. The mother all of a sudden had superhuman strength. We even saw a ship under water that looked like the ship from last season. And I'm gonna guess that's Rain, the new villain of the season. How they're going to set her up. I hope they don't set her up I hope they make her an interesting character, because it's already kind of reminding me of Doomsday from Smallville. Smallville introduced a character called Davis Bloom. He didn't know that he was really a monster underneath. And season 8 of Smallville is like one of the worst. It is the worst, in my opinion. It was the most boring season Smallville had to offer. And I love Smallville. Smallville is still one of my all-time favorite TV shows of all time. I definitely have it on top of my top 10 list. So I hope it doesn't go that route where the character is boring and brings down the show. I hope they do something creative with this and a lot of fun, and not just copy what Smallville did. I'm seeing a lot of Smallville parallels already in this first episode, so hopefully the writers do something different and not just, hey, let's go back and see what Smallville did and try to copy them. Because I think Supergirl can be better than that. Smallville never gave us Clark in the suit. Supergirl is giving us Kara in the suit. So be a superhero show. Don't be Smallville. Be your own thing. And I can't forget to talk about this. In the beginning of the episode, we had a little glimpse of Erika Durance as Alora, Kara's mother from Krypton. We got to see a little bit of that. So, I really enjoyed seeing her. I can't wait to see more of her. She's going to be in a couple more episodes. I don't know how many more. But she played Lois Lane on Smallville. Again, Smallville's being brought up in this conversation because you have to. I mean, yeah. And so I want to see her have some lines. In this episode, she was just there looking at the camera, and that was it, in a dream sequence. So I can't wait to see more from Erika Durance. Next, let's move on to The Flash Reborn. So Barry finally gets out of the Speed Force, and right in the beginning of this episode, we start off with Cisco and Vibe, Cisco is Vibe, and Wally as Kid Flash. They are saving the city together, and one of the characters we see from a previous season is Peekaboo, who I think we haven't seen since season 1 or 2, right? So they take her down. Obviously, everything is fine and dandy. But maybe not really. They're all missing. They still sort of miss Barry in a lot of ways. It's been 6 months since he's been gone, almost a year. And it was cool seeing Iris taking charge. My only complaint about Iris in this episode is how she was hesitant at getting Barry out. And I felt like, why would she be this hesitant at getting the person she loves back? Because the Iris that we've grown to know since season 1 has always been hopeful and optimistic. And I felt like the writers had taken that aspect of her out. If anything, I was expecting her to be on board with Cisco's idea. So that kind of had me off edge a little bit. We got to see Caitlin back. Caitlin looks like she's regained her powers, but then by the end of the episode, we find out maybe not. Maybe she's having a little Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing, which is kind of annoying a little bit too, because I was kind of expecting Flash to that they resorted that whole situation last season in the finale. I felt that they kind of put a tap on that, but I guess not. I don't know. maybe it's kind of confusing because I'm not sure if this is like a schizophrenia type of deal, two personalities. I don't know, a personality disorder. I don't know, but so it seems like she's having trouble controlling it. And apparently, when she quit the job, the bar job that she was working at, she kind of just she said a name. I forgot what the name is right now. But she said, "Hey, tell this person I quit." So I'm going to guess this person is very important because that creepy guy at the bar who was trying to stop her seemed like, okay, this guy is definitely up to something, and definitely works for people who the heck knows. So yeah, the Caitlyn and Iris stuff in this episode was kind of the downfall for me. Everything else, though, I thought was really good. I like the samurai or the samurai droid or whatever you want to call it. I thought that was cool. And Wally trying to stop it. I even like the scene where he got to be in Barry's suit briefly, and they actually did an image of the comic, a reference to the comic where the samurai picks Wally up with the sword, which is a direct visual reference to that. And so all of that I liked. When Barry got out, he was talking gibberish. Some people are speculating that some of the stuff he was saying means something. Like apparently, the Flash's kids were referenced in some ways because he said diapers. I think we're gonna need more. And there was a reference to some of the previous episodes and seasons, specifically the pilot. I noticed a lot of references to the pilot in this episode. Quite a bit of them. I'm trying to remember what now, but it's like blanking on me. Specifically, one of the scenes I remember is when they try to, after knocking Barry out, they try to reenact a moment that happened in the pilot when the music is playing in the background and Cisco and Caitlin are like right in front of his face checking up on him. But no, none of that works. I am speculating, though, that we will get a flashback into the Speed Force to see what happened during those 6 months. Because I think there's a lot there that can be explained on how Barry got to that moment. I do think he was still, even when he got normal again, if you want to call it normal, I do think he was still acting a little strangely. Like he didn't feel that it was weird that he all of a sudden just came back and he's like okay now. I found it weird that he didn't think it was weird. So I do really think we are going to get back on track. I think we are going to get flashbacks to the Speed Force. And then finally, we also get the Thinker, who is our new villain of the season. I will say he looks really cool right now. Some people are saying it looks like he's from the future because of the room he's in. That's a big possibility. Maybe he is from the future. After all, look at the way he looks. And if he's not an alien, what is he? So maybe he is from the future. He looks like the Borg to me from Star Trek, The Next Generation. If you guys seen that, he looks like, search up the Borg on Google and you'll see what I'm talking about. He looks pretty creepy. I thought it was funny, though, when not intentionally funny, which maybe is a bad thing. So what do you think we should do? And then he just looks at the camera. I'm thinking. That was really right on the nose. So yeah, overall, I think this was a really solid episode. Really nice premiere. Just a few things kind of irked me here and there. I will say that it has got me interested in seeing more of the Thinker, because he definitely feels like a different type of villain than we've had before, such as a lot of speedsters. A lot of the villains have been speedsters in previous seasons, so it's nice to have a villain that's not a speedster. So moving on, let's move on to Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 1, Arrowverse. So the Legends have broke time, and shit is going down. Not actually so bad as we might think, because the time Buru, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right now, led by Rip Hunter, is cleaning up the mess that the Legends of Tomorrow have caused. Obviously, they all are disbanded and they all go on to try to live normal lives while the Time Buru tries to clean up shit. And unfortunately, when Mick is on vacation in Aruba, he's the only one that actually goes to Aruba. He sees Julius Caesar, and that's where the Legends decide to step back in and decide to clean up their own mess, because that's what they do best. They make mess, but then they clean it up. And I forgot what their motto is, but it was a really nice motto. Look, this episode had a lot of great moments, a lot of funny moments. It was a really funny episode, I thought. And that's what I think Legends is realizing about itself. They realize how absurd the show is, the ideas and everything, and these characters, like, none of these characters would actually be together on a regular TV show. Like Sarah Lance and Ray Palmer and Mick Rory. No, you gotta separate them all. But this show realizes that, and so where in season 1, I would always say that season 1 felt like Doctor Who meets Star Trek. I feel like season 2 switched the Star Trek part, and now it's Doctor Who meets Guardians of the Galaxy, where they're just going all out with the craziness of it all and having fun with it, and I love it. I think Legends of Tomorrow, if they continue on this way, I feel like they have the opportunity to be the best DCTV show currently on right now. And I think they should just continue it, because it's definitely working for them. It works for their characters. Where season 1 was a little bit boring, season 2 was amazing. I love season 2. I think it was definitely a step in the right direction. And I feel like season 3 is going to continue that. Don't take itself so seriously. Just have fun with it. And it's definitely doing that right. I did like Wally's little cameo in the beginning. Where, Legends airs after Flash, but I felt that this episode should have aired before Flash, because it seems like that's when Wally was still going solo or with Cisco and team, because or else Nate should have had the cameo in Flash, but they didn't. So but I liked the cameo. I liked it. I thought it was a nice little cameo. Martin and Jax are going through some situations, because they're having discussions about Martin not actually... He's reconsidering what's been going on in his life, because his daughter is now having a granddaughter, which makes him a grandfather. And it looks like he wants to start spending more time with his family, and you can understand that right away. It's also been announced this week that Victor Garber will be leaving Legends of Tomorrow this season, sometime this season. They didn't say when, but sometime. So they are planning on writing him off, and this is clearly the start of it. What will happen to Jax? I have no idea. But I mean, it's 2/2 of Firestorm for a reason. I have a feeling they are going to find a way to keep Jax on the show without Victor Garber. Some people have been speculating that maybe his daughter becomes the inner voice while Jax continues to be Firestorm. That could be interesting. So there's a lot there that and it could bring a new dynamic to the show as well. And having another female on the team is never a bad idea. So yeah, I'd be curious to see how they're going to handle this. I really did like Rip's role. Rip Hunter is a cool character, and I really like Arthur Arthur Darville as Rip Hunter. I think he's great. So I can't wait to see what he has up his sleeve, because clearly he's letting the Legends do this maybe for his own gratification. So I'm curious on how they're going to handle where Rip is going with this. Mick Rory is great. How can you hate Mick? Mick is such a great character. He brings in most of the laughs, I feel. Even though Sarah and Ray and Nate, all of them have had their great moments on this episode as well. Taking down Julius Caesar was cool. I like that. And Julius Caesar was smart enough to steal the book so he can have the knowledge of the future. And obviously they had to stop him too. This was a really great episode, guys. A lot of fun. I can't wait for next week to see where it's going to go next. Obviously, this season has a lot to really look forward to. Their Legends, like I said, is going all out there. So they are doing everything right. And I'm loving it. And I can't wait to see what else happens. Finally, we get to Arrow and Arrow Season 6, Episode 1, Fallout. We finally see the fallout of what happened, or a little bit of what happened after the island blew up in the finale of Season 5. I'm going to say right now, I like this episode, but it wasn't... I think we've had better season premieres than this one. It's probably my least favorite season premiere. It's right down there. It's my least favorite. And I didn't hate the episode. I just felt it could have been so much better. I felt it was a little rushed at times. We get Oliver and Team Arrow in the present day kicking ass, like everything is okay. Obviously, as we go through the episode, we find out, okay, maybe not everything is okay. And we learn some of it, a little bit of reasons why, with the flashbacks to after the island blew up, showing that most of these guys survived. And that's where my biggest gripe is. The only character that died was Samantha, who everybody was expecting to die, because that's how Oliver was going to get his kid to live with him again. And I felt that was weak. I felt they should have killed off one of the characters, one of the major characters from the show. One or two, I don't care. One of them should have died. Yes, there were certain characters that I didn't want to die. I didn't want any of them to die, but I felt like one of them needed to be. Because now I feel like this whole premiere was for nothing. I felt like, okay, so the character that everybody knew was going to die died anyways. And then I'm glad that it wasn't Thea. But if it was Thea, the emotional impact of it would have been better, I think. It would have been... But you can tell Thea wasn't the one that died, because there was a scene before they revealed Thea, of her fate. There was a scene where I think Lance comes into to Mayor Queen's office and mentions Thea, and Oliver doesn't look too distraught about it. So that was the scene that kind of made me realize, okay, so Thea's probably okay. And then we see there's a scene where he thinks she's dead, but she doesn't turn out to be dead. Thea's actually okay. And even at the end of the episode, we see her in the hospital. So Thea's in a coma for 6 months. Fine. There was a little scene with Slade. Slade was on the island as well, but clearly he's turned good. He's on the good side, and he's looking for his son, like Oliver promised to help him afterwards. So he's going to Calgary, Ontario, or in Canada. Cool. The majority of the episode also dealt with Oliver dealing with his son. And this was another weakness for me, because the son is not a great actor. Usually the acting part doesn't bother me, but it was also the way the kid was written. I could have forgiven the acting if the writing aspect was better, because the way this kid looks like he's at least 13 years old. And the way it feels like they're writing him is as if he's 5 or 6 years old. And I'm like, come on, guys. He wouldn't be saying the bad man. The bad man is here. Like, come on. And right away, I already guessed that he was talking about Oliver, the Green Arrow. But I was saying, wait a minute. But they're showing us scenes on the island of, like, Oliver comforting him. And I get it. Like, he's blaming Oliver for... But that's not the way he should have said it. That's not the way he should have acted. He should be acting like a 13 or 14 or whatever how old this kid is. He clearly doesn't look like he's 5 or 6. He looks like he's much older than that. And I wish they were just writing him a lot more better. So, other than, were there aspects I really did like? I really liked Black Siren. I thought she was cool. Seeing Katie Cassidy back playing the villain role now is a lot of fun. I'm going to say she looks like she's loving it, and I'm loving it. I didn't like the villain that was the guy that was like making bombs. I didn't like him so much. But her, I definitely did like. Quentin having anxiety over her kind of confused me too, because I'm like, wait a minute, Quentin, this is not what happened last time. You seem to had dealt with this in the finale, and now it feels like Quentin is going backwards on a lot of it. Another thing, Wild Dog has a new costume. That was pretty cool. I actually prefer his old costume a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie on that. But fine, his new costume will take a little getting used to. I think I'll like it. It will warm up to me a little bit more as time goes on. And Diggle is having problems shooting people. That sounds weird saying because of all the problems that are going on in the world right now. But yeah, he doesn't want to use firearms anymore because of something tragic that happened on the island. Did he almost kill somebody? I have no idea. They didn't really show us, but I have a feeling that some of the things we're going to be learning about in the flashback. Speaking of the flashbacks, there was somebody there that rescued Black Siren who reached their hand out to her. I think that's going to be our big bad of the season. Some people are suspecting Antonelli, and I think that's where I'm going with too right now, because as of right now, we don't know any of the other villains that are coming on this season. So it could be a villain that's introduced later on in the season. And I think the only reason we're going to speculate it's Anatoly is because there's bad blood between him and Oliver right now. And he might possibly want to get revenge. So he is the most likely suspect right now as far as I'm concerned. And I'm guessing that's what's going through some people's heads as well. Other than that, yeah, this was an okay episode. So this week had a lot of really entertaining episodes. All the shows were good this week. Some better than others, obviously. So let's get down to my what was my least favorite episode and what was my favorite. My least favorite episode is obviously Arrow. Arrow, as you can tell, I liked it, but I was kind of disappointed with it. I was expecting a lot more from it, especially after last season finale, season 5 finale. I felt it was going to come back with a bang, and it turned out to be okay. So yeah, Arrow, sorry, buddy. Hopefully next week, because you did end off with a really good cliffhanger, which I forgot to mention. Arrow ended with a cliffhanger with Oliver's secret being outed. I can't wait to see how that's resolved. Please do not fail me, or else you have failed the city. Yeah, looking forward to next week, definitely. So hopefully next week, maybe you'll come back on top. For the best episode of this week, I wasn't sure which show I was gonna pick, but I do now, because now that I was recapping all of these shows, there's two shows I have in mind, and it's not Supergirl and it's not The Flash. That's right, it's between Legends and Gotham. You know what? I'm gonna give the win to Legends this week. I thought Legends was just so enjoyable. I loved it from beginning to end. I thought they pulled out. They might have brushed the broken time under the rug pretty quickly, but you know what? I didn't mind, because the show was so much fun returning to with these characters that I felt, okay, I'll go with it. And a lot of the other shows did practically the same thing, with the exception of Gotham, which was already in its 4th episode. But like Supergirl, not Supergirl, but Flash kind of brushed the Flash being in the Speed Force for so long pretty quickly. They should have kept it going for like 4 episodes, but they didn't. And then you got Arrow not killing off anybody, so that, like, they did laziness. But at least Legends did the most entertaining this week, and that's what I really took away from it. So with that being said, guys, that's the episode. That's my DCTV podcast for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed my talk about all of this. Comment below. Tell me your thoughts on each and every episode. If you want, comment and tell me your ranking of the Arrowverse season premieres. Add Gotham's episode if you want. But yeah, that's it for me today. I hope you guys you join me next week. And until then, take care.